Hello internet, it's me, I'm back. It's another video. Strap in. Welcome, I'm Kendall Richardson. This is the next, latest, current, present, you're watching episode of Non-Scripted Ramblings. I like to ramble, so it's an appropriate title. And today we are we've hit the end of phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe on our countdown to Avengers Infinity War. At the time of recording this movie, it is exactly a week from now when I will be sitting in the theatre, in the cinema, watching it with a group of some of my closest friends who are all massive Marvel nerds as well, which works out great. That's why I keep them around, to be honest. Just joking. So the last film in phase 2, for some reason, is Ant-Man. Now, I only say for some reason because, Age of Ultron was really more of a final film in terms of the phase because, as I said in the video, there's the line Tony says, "It's the end of the path I started us on," and that kind of, it's a, and everything that happens, and the fact that phase 1 culminated with the end of the first Avengers film, I feel like it would have made sense to make phase 2 end with it as well, but for some reason, Ant-Man is the end of the road, and then, we'll start phase 3. So I watched the trailer before I recorded, as I've been doing, because I'm liking to take a trip down memory lane, and I'm getting further down and these trailers are coming back, I'm remembering more about these trailers and watching them for the first time originally. This one came out 3 years ago, because the movie came out 3 years ago. And yeah, it's really, really awesome. It's a really cool trailer. It sets up the whole movie so well. It doesn't give too much away. It kind of tells you what the plot of the film is, but that's fine. Especially because we have no idea who Ant-Man really is at this point. Same, we didn't know much about Guardians of the Galaxy, even though that didn't reveal too much about the plot entirely in that trailer. Not really at all. But yeah, this one, I think they had to do a bit more groundwork to kind of sell it, so they've shown a lot from the entire film. There's a lot of footage from the whole film in the trailer, but it's well cut, it's well put together. The dialogue's very good. Oh, excuse me, they don't really give away that Falcon's in the movie, because there's this part of that scene and they made it look like Yellow Jacket's there, but it's not, it's Falcon. So that's pretty cool. Before we dive in, though, I want to touch on probably the best piece of marketing the MCU's ever done, which is the 16 second clip of Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas just like clicking and tapping and then just screaming ants and saying Ant-Man, and that's it. And that's like, that was some promotion they did. I don't know who came up with that. It's probably online, whoever did, but it's awesome, hilarious, so random and weird, but it's good advertising because it sticks in your head. And like, I specifically watched it because I remembered it and I remembered enjoying it, and so I feel like that's a good sign. I don't really remember too much of the other little ads or clips for any of the other movies, and this one was just like, it's not even them in character, it's them as themselves doing it, and it's very, very funny. So, okay, let's dive into the movie. I assure you, this is not going to be a 40-minute discussion. Thank you to everyone who's watched my Age of Ultron video, because I did not mean to ramble that long. I'm sorry, but there was a lot that had to be said about that movie. A lot happened, so I just couldn't help myself, and I could talk for days. Or in the words of Captain America, I could do this all day. So you're lucky it was only 40 minutes. I probably could have talked a lot longer. But yeah, thank you for watching it. The movie opens with a really cool flashback scene. We see young Hank Pym for the first time, Michael Douglas in the role, and they've de-aged him using all of the Disney money and the incredible CGI technology. This is the first time we've seen this put to use in the MCU. And you can kind of tell it's not real. Like, if you look at him in a certain way, it kind of, it's not prosthetics or makeup or anything, but it's not bad. Like, it's not terrible. It's really well done. And then we get to see Peggy Carter as well. They have aged up Hayley Atwell for this little bit, because she's probably in her like 70s at this point, late 60s, early 70s probably. This is 1989 where this scene takes place, and she looks really great, and she's really good in the scene. And Howard Stark's there, old Howard Stark, 2 years before he gets killed. And then that other S.H.I.E.L.D. guy who turns out to be Hydra, I've forgotten his name, but he's a Hydra agent, so who cares? He comes back in the movie later anyway. But so we basically get, the movie opens with like the pre-existing knowledge that Hank Pym's been working with S.H.I.E.L.D. Because in the comics, Hank Pym's the original Ant-Man, but in this movie, he's still the original Ant-Man, but he's not the Ant-Man that we get for this universe, because they've decided to take a different path, a different approach to the movie, which I think is fine. I know it pissed off a lot of people that we weren't going to get to see Hank Pym as Ant-Man, but there's parts in the movie where we do see that. Like there's a scene where he's explaining to Hope, his daughter, for the first time what actually happened to her mother Janet, because she was the Wasp, the original Wasp, and she went subatomic and sacrificed herself, to stop her warhead from hitting the United States, and so we get a little scene of them in action, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I like Michael Douglas in this role in this movie. He's very, very good. He's a really great actor, and it's really, really cool in this role of Hank. He's a great character. I really like him. I like what they've done with him. It's very, very good. And then after that we get the introduction of Scott Lang, played by the hilarious Paul Rudd. Talk about your perfect casting. I mean, I say it every time. I'm like, Marvel casts these movies 110% on point, amazing. But he was perfect pick. Like definitely had to get someone who, because this movie is a kind of a comedy as well. Like it's not as hilarious as Ragnarok, that kind of comedy. That's a different type of comedy. But Paul Rudd, like, the lines they give him to say, he delivers them so well because he's got such great comedic timing, and it works incredibly well. And I really love him in this role. He's really good, really, really good. And they develop him in this movie in such a great way. You get his motivations. You get that he's not a bad guy. He did spend the last 3 years in jail, but he didn't do it because he was, a shit person or just there's no malicious motivations. It was, he was trying to take down, stick it to the man, as they say in the film. And then he got caught and went to jail and all of that, and then he gets out, and then in order to see his daughter, because he's missed the last 3-4 years of her life growing up, he needs money, so his friends are like, we've got a job, and that's where we that's not where we meet his friends then, but we meet Michael Pena in this movie as Luis. Holy cow, what a character. I can't wait for Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's probably one of the main reasons I'm excited about that, because he's going to be in it. He's so funny. And I've seen Michael Pena in so many movies, and I've never seen him play this kind of character that's just like he's comedic relief, but he's not playing it like in an exaggerated way. It's like, how do I explain it? He's that's who he is. The way he talks, the way he acts and carries himself, he's very kind of aloof and he's always got this like smile on his face. Like he's just like the whole time, like he's talking, and he's just, he's so great. He's so funny. Very much a welcome addition to the film. And then we meet his friends who are played by the rapper T.I. and the actor David Dust Malchian, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Dust Malchian. I'm fairly certain that's how you say his name. He's adopted a bit of an accent for this role, but if you do recognize him, if you maybe know who he is, he was in The Dark Knight. He was one of the Joker's henchmen in that. He's also appeared on TV as an enemy of the Flash in the TV show, and he was also on Gotham for a brief stint where he actually played one of Jerome's followers, and people are saying Jerome is like the Joker of Gotham. I stopped watching Gotham, but because it went a bit off the rails. But it was enjoyable for a time, and Jerome was really cool. But I thought it was a nice little wink to the Nolan-verse, getting Des Malchian to play one of his followers. So yeah, he's a seasoned superhero veteran, Des Malchian. So it was really cool to see him pop up in a Marvel movie. Yeah, okay, so what do we need to talk about? Okay, let's talk about our villain, Darren Cross, played by Corey Stoll. I really like Corey Stoll. He's really good. If you're not sure where you've seen him from as well, he was in House of Cards. He was in season 1. And he's really good in that. And he plays this character in House of Cards who's so vulnerable and earnest and just a good man trying to do the right thing, but he's got a bit of a, troubled past, and he's trying to battle his political career with his personal life, and so much is happening, and it's just, yeah. And what happened, I'm not going to spoil what happens to him, but it sucks. He's it's not a good time for him. He doesn't have a good time in that show. But so it's just so crazy to see. I love it when you can see an actor play the opposite, like completely opposite characters, because Darren Cross is nothing like his character from House of Cards. They look exactly the same because they're the same person, but completely different. And this guy is just straight up, villainous. He's not entirely one note. He's not exactly, by the same token, I guess he's not exactly something we haven't seen before. The pupil, the assistant, the underling, the Padawan learner, gone evil. It's not exactly new, but it's, what he brings to that part and what he brings to the role is really cool. And it's interesting that he's trying to mask good intentions. He's trying to mask his malevolence and, maniacal world domination with, good intentions. Because I found it so interesting, especially after just watching Age of Ultron, that the Yellow Jacket specifically was designed to be a peacekeeping program. Does that sound familiar, everybody? Oh boy, it's just, I love the fact that these notes are just getting hit, these beats are getting hit repeatedly. Another exact example of what Cap says is that, you try to stop a war before it happens. Innocent people die, and here we are. We have Yellow Jacket. This time it's a bad guy trying to do the right thing. He just wants to make money. But it's, he's masking it as a peacekeeping program, and that they're going to be able to protect the world. I thought that was really cool. There's also a reference to, we get a couple of references to Sokovia and the events of Age of Ultron while I'm talking about it. There's a newspaper article, we see a picture of Sokovia on it, and then, I've lost my train of thought. And then after that, when Hank Pym recruits Scott Lang, Scott's just like, call the Avengers. Let's just call the Avengers. This sounds like a job for them, because he's just told him about what Darren Cross is trying to do and what they need to do to stop him and get the tech away from him, because it'll, he's gonna destroy things and people are gonna die. So, and Scott's just like, just get the Avengers. You've got sway. You used to work for S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, why not? And then Hank Pym says rather saltily, he's like, well, they seem to be way too busy dropping cities out of the sky. So, and that's that reference. And then, of course, as part of the mission to take down Darren Cross, we get a little side mission sort of that's involved of Ant-Man going to the upstate New York Avengers base, and Falcon's there. Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson represent, so cool. They get to tussle it out for a couple of minutes, and it's a lot of fun, and he gets to say I'm Ant-Man for the first time, and and make the whole, you've probably heard of me, actually maybe you haven't heard of me, and he's like super awkward from the get-go. It's fantastic. And then they fight, and it's awesome, but then ultimately he gets the tech out, and then Sam's like, Like he's, I can't remember, I don't know who he's reporting to, but he's just like, just make sure Cap never finds out about this. Oh yeah, it's really cool. I love it. Okay, what else? Okay, so yeah, let's talk about Hope Van Dyne. Hope is played by Evangeline Lilly. She's a fantastic actress as well. She's really good in this role, and I'm really excited to see her suit up as the Wasp in the upcoming movie that's coming out in like 2.5 months from this day. She's really, really cool. She's badass. She doesn't take shit from anybody. She's her own woman. She's strong. She's, you know, she doesn't depend on any men or anything. She can handle herself. She's just wonderful. She's perfect. And I like, you know, the training montage of her training Scott is wonderful, and, you know, punching him in the face and his reaction, and yeah, it's all really well done. And then, you know, the relationship between Scott and the ants and trying to get them to work for him. And we meet Anthony, his little flying ant, who gets killed by Yellow Jacket. Sad face. That was sad. It was like, why would you... Don't kill the ant. I mean, it's an ant, and we... Like, how many times a day do we as humans step on ants? Like, you know, there's even a reference to ants in Avengers when, you know, Nick Fury's talking to Loki and he's like, ant boot. Or, and then, like, because before Loki's like, you know, an ant has no quarrel with the boot. And then here we are, you know, 3 years later at this point. Ant-Man's a movie and we've got ants. And we are having emotional connections with ants, in specific one ant named Anthony. And yeah, he gets, so rip Anthony, because yeah, he was cool. I hope there's like an Anthony 2.0 in Ant-Man and the Wasp. That would be great. Okay, so what else shall I talk about? Okay, yeah, Hydra's in the movie. Evidently the Avengers still haven't, you know, snuffed them all out, and neither have they on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at this point. So, because Cross is like, I'm going to sell my shit to Hydra and make millions of dollars, but I'm keeping the formula, so you have to keep coming to me. You can have the suits, you can have the formula, so I can make more money. And so I thought that was an interesting way of connecting the world as well. The final act of the film is really cool. The fighting is awesome. I love the fighting in this movie just across the board, because like the way it's choreographed, and like the moments they choose for Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket to shrink and then grow big again and shrink, and all of that is just, it's so well done. And like all of the different things they do with him being small, and like the whole train set fight is fantastic to watch. It's really cool and really funny. And then, yeah, of course, at the end of the day, we have victory. Ant-Man wins, but, you know, he nearly dies in the process because he ends up shrinking himself. He goes subatomic in order to stop Yellow Jacket from killing his daughter. And it's a really powerful kind of moment. And then thank God he had one of those enlarging discs on him, otherwise he would have been screwed. But, yeah, this is the first kind of taste of Doctor Strange-esque vibes, because this is, because we know that Janet Van Dyne's going to be in Ant-Man and the Wasp. We don't know in what capacity. She's going to be played by Michelle Pfeiffer, which is super exciting because I love Michelle Pfeiffer. But so we don't know if it's going to be flashback or if they're going to find a way to bring her out, because there's a high chance she's not dead, but then it's also at the same time, how's she been able to live without food or water or sleep or any of that for the last 25 years, 30 years? 30 years, yeah, exactly, over 30 years. But we'll find out, because, yeah, like, you know, there's a little, if you watch closely, as Scott's shrinking into, like, this, you know, I would say it's the multiverse, because it's like, you know, it just looks exactly like, because, like, Hank says, you go into a different realm, a reality, a dimension, it's different, so it's all these hints, and then just the colours and the shapes and the movement of the frames and the pictures, and then you see a flash of the Wasp's shadow, kind of like you blink and you'll miss it sort of moment, but she's there, you see her. So yeah, I don't really know what's going to happen, but there's obviously going to be something out of that will be in the sequel. So that was pretty cool. Okay, before I wrap up, we've got the Stan Lee cameo to talk about. Very, very brief, almost even spent the whole movie watching it and forgetting what, I was like, oh yeah, we haven't seen Stan yet. Whoops. But yeah, there he is. You know, Louis is telling his story. And yeah, I love it's so clever the way they do it. It's really clever. And then they get Stan to be the bartender in a bar where, you know, one of the people in his story is talking to him and all this. So that was pretty funny. And then yeah, he tells about how the chick is talking to Sam Wilson on the park bench, and then, you know, he's like, I need a guy. I know a guy that does this can do this. And she's like, well, who are you talking about? We've got a guy that does this. And then she specifically says, we've got a guy who swings, and we've got a guy who crawls up walls. And that is the first canon MCU reference to Spider-Man, which is pretty freaking sweet. Because this was the movie before Civil War, but I think this was probably would have been just after Spider-Man was confirmed to appear, after that deal was made between Sony and Marvel, where or Sony and Disney, where they said, look, we want to keep him, but we want you to make the movie for us. You can have him, you can do whatever you want with him, but it's our movie, but you're making it for us. So that's the deal they came to. And that was the first canon reference. It was pretty sweet. Yeah, and then post-credit scene, mid-credit. Oh, there's two credit scenes in this one. Mid-credit scene, Hank Pym is introducing his daughter Hope to the Wasp costume for the first time, the Wasp suit, and then she goes, "It's about damn time," and I'm just like, yes, put on the suit. It's gonna be so cool. I can't wait. And then the end credit scene is, as we know now, is a clip from Civil War. When Bucky's in the big old vice, they've got his arm in the vice, Sam and Cap, and he wakes up, and then we get the first on-screen mention of the Sokovia Accords. Sam says, you know, who knows if the Accords will let him help, referring to Tony, because Cap's like, well, this would have been a whole lot better, you know, a week ago if we could still get everyone to help us, because, you know, that movie's very complicated. So yeah, and then Sam's like, you know, Cap's like, we need help, and so Sam's like, well, I know a guy, and that's, you know, referring to Ant-Man, and that's the end of the film. So yeah, lovely movie. It's so underrated, I think, guys. I think you should all check it out. Don't avoid it, don't skip it. It has tiny little things that connect, obviously, not grand, huge things like previous films, but it's a great origin film. It's a lot of fun. It's really great. It's Marvel doing what they do best. So go check it out. So yeah, that's phase 2 done. So when we come back, we'll be opening phase 3 with our discussion on the one and only epic movie that is Captain America: Civil War. Oh, that's probably going to be a long video too, just heads up, but I'll try my best. Thank you for watching, guys. I've been a Kendall Richardson. You've just experienced non-scripted ramblings.